right, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, and my mother, happy Mother's Day.
And Robin, even though you're not a so-called mother that gave birth, you certainly are a mother to our grandchildren, to your niece and nephew.
True.
You are.
Yeah, so Kim and I say that a lot. We have lots of kids, especially in the basketball league and all the kids we have. But anyway, we love you all today, and this is going to be a powerful message. It's going to change your life that Mom's about to share with you. So here we go.
May God bless all you mothers on this very special day. Happy Mother's Day. Being a mother or a grandmother like myself, raising children is the most unselfish vocation there is, my opinion. As a young mother, whenever I had to fill out forms and was asked, "Do you work?" my reply was yes. From the time I opened my eyes in bed until the time I close my eyes in bed. I'm a stay-at-home mother, wife, and housekeeper. I once heard a lady that gave birth to her child say, it was like pulling your bottom lip over your head. I think some of us can agree with that. My mother, God rest her soul, had 11 children. I told God there's no way I'm having 11 kids. I say kids like they're goats, but you know what I mean. But I said 7 is okay. 7 is the Lord's number. It means perfection. But after I had my 5th child, Charles, who I had to keep a harness on, and when I say harness, I'm talking about a dog harness that you take for a walk, because Charles would take off on me and I couldn't catch him. So I said to the Lord, remember that prayer I prayed about 7 kids? Cancel it. Forget it. But dogs get together and they have pups, and cats get together and have kittens. And I was blaming God for my 7th child, Casey Joseph. He was 10 ounces short of 11 pounds, and he wouldn't come out. So I had to have a C-section, and well, I made sure the doctor fixed it, so he was my last child. My father was a bad alcoholic, so us 11 children were shamefully raised on public assistance by my mother. My mother did not drink, smoke, or cuss. She was a God-fearing woman. On the other hand, my siblings and I played a game called How Many Cuss Words Can Dad Say in 60 Seconds? I was very fortunate to be able to stay at home and be a mom to raise my children in a happy, godly home. I had fun with my children, reliving my childhood through them, but not in poverty or fear of an alcoholic father. When I went to the grocery store, the kids went with me. They had their own carts, and they would go and get whatever they wanted. It was always fun going with Mom. My children were very blessed with a good father, unlike mine. They had an Olympic pool, tennis court, big birthday parties, and Christmas was their best memory of all. Our son Jason said when he had to do some time in prison for his addiction, the only thing that got him through it was reminiscing on his happy childhood. But our lives drastically changed when Jason was about 11 years old. No one is ever ready for the death of a child or a sibling. And we Smiths have been through 3. Dawn was 17 and about to graduate when she was killed in a car accident. That one phone call changed our happy, joyful home and lives forever. I didn't know Dawn died. When I raced to the scene of the accident, I just thought she was hurt and she needed me. I recall chuckling to myself on the way, thinking, yep, I'm going to tell her, see, Dawn? This is why I always tell you, Jesus is going with you wherever you go, and you always have to be ready to meet the Lord. As I raced to the scene of the accident, a fire truck blocked the road, and I yelled, "I think my daughter's in this accident," and he let me through. I pulled up about a mile down the road, and emergency vehicles and workers were all there. And as I went up to them and said, "I think my daughter's in this accident," they said, "Well, why don't you sit down on the fire truck step here?" And I said, "No, I don't want to sit down. I have to get to my daughter." And they kept trying to tell me, "Well, you have to wait a while till we talk to the trooper." And I said, "No, I need to get to my daughter." And I kept saying, "I'm a born-again Christian. I can handle this." And I must have said that at least twice. And they had like a human line holding hands that I couldn't get through. And at one point I'm thinking, if these people don't let me get through to see my daughter, I'm busting through this line. And right when I was about to do that, I seen a trooper coming towards me. And his eyes looked very frightened. I guess he knew I was one of the mothers. And so I broke through and I said to him, "Is Dawn Marie Smith in this accident?" And as I was saying it, he was holding her registration to her vehicle, and right in front of me was a crumpled little mass of blue tin, which was her car. And as I stood there, I looked to the side and saw a body covered up laying on the side of the pavement there on the highway. And my hand went up and I said, "That's my daughter," which I had no idea how I done that, because I didn't know that was my daughter, but the Lord knew. I was engulfed with the Spirit of God all over me. Angels had to be carrying me, and we went over and he walked in front of me and lifted up the sheet, and there was my Dawn laying there with her head to the side. Her hair was all wet. Obviously they hosed down everything. She had natural curly hair, so her hair was long and beautiful and curly. And I looked down and I could tell she was gone. And I said, "Dawn," like my heart, like a knife goes through your heart. And I just looked and I said to the trooper, "She's gone. She's in heaven now with Jesus. She was a born-again Christian like me." And I stood up and I'm thinking, what do I do? Do I take her with me? I've never been through this before. I don't know what to do. And I heard a voice. It was the Lord inside of my head. And he said, "You got to go tell your husband." So I said, "I have to go tell my husband." And as I walked away, I had to walk through all those emergency workers again. And I just stopped for 1 minute. And I said to them, "At times like this, there's nothing you can do. You're either in heaven or hell." And I thank God that my daughter is with Jesus in heaven right now. She was a born-again Christian like me. And as I walked to my car, of course, the trooper ran after me and was saying, "Please, I'll drive you." And I said, "I'm fine. I just need to go tell my husband, he's a doctor in the town," so that he knew I wasn't in shock to not be able to drive. You know why? Because the workers and the trooper couldn't understand how normally a mother would have been screaming, grabbing their kid and losing it. But I didn't do that because of the strength I had from the Lord. On the way home from the accident, I had to talk with God. I said, "God, I don't understand this, but I trust you. I know there's no sin between me and you or my husband and you. And I know that you love Dawn even more than we do. But you must know something we don't know to allow all this." I said to the Lord giveth. He gave us Casey. Casey was only a month and a half old. And the Lord taketh away my Dawn, who was 17. Blessed be the name of the Lord. I humbly say I learned to trust God with all my heart and not try to understand everything. All God's words are true, and I trust everything he does. even the deaths of our 3 children. Back at the house, as I was going home, on the way home from the accident, I will never forget the little faces in the doorway of Robin, Jason, Charles, and Kimberly, who were very young. Robin was probably 13 then, and they were all younger than her. They were asking, "Is it Dawn?" And I said, "Yes." "Is she okay?" "No. She's dead." They all began screaming, crying, grabbing my clothes, yelling, "You're lying, you're lying." And I just stood there and said, "Dawn is in heaven with Jesus right now. She's alive. She's just living in another place." They stopped screaming and crying instantly. The pain was still there, but bearable. Peace came into our house. His name is the Prince of Peace. I called my husband, PC, Pastor Charles, to tell him. On his way home, as he spoke to God, God told him about Dawn, little one on streets of gold, little one, though not very old, struggled yet fought for what is right in the Savior's arms tonight. We have this written on her gravestone. But I wonder how I might have acted if I didn't know Jesus personally as my best friend and my Lord and Savior. I wonder how my children would have acted if I couldn't reassure them that Dawn was safe and alive living with Jesus. The morning Dawn was killed, I let Jason stay home from school. Now, once in a while, I would let each child have a turn, just playing hooky, I guess, staying home. My husband didn't like this, but, they would say, Mom, I don't feel good or whatever, and I'd say, all right, because I knew what they were getting at, and I'd let him have a day off. And he was in my bed watching TV, and I came in the room, and I said, "Jason, I have to read my Bible. I've been so busy, I haven't read it in a few days." So I opened it to Jesus speaking about building our house on the rock and not on sinking sand like a foolish man. The rains came down and the floods came up and the house on the sand collapsed. But the house built on the rock stood firm. I explained to Jason, Jesus' stories all have a spiritual side. The Lord was telling us we are the house and to build our life on Him, who is the rock. He's the rock of ages. Because foolish people who don't build their house on Jesus, when the rains and storms of life come down on them, they collapse. They're the building that will collapse. But we are supposed to be wise people who build our lives on Jesus. And when these storms come, I said to Jason, we will be standing strong. Little did we know that afternoon the worst storm of our life would come on us. But we were able to stand because our lives are built on the rock. I challenge all you mothers to go out and buy a Bible, read it, and read it to your children. The Bible is the oldest and most read book in the world, and it changes lives for better in every generation. It kept me and my family as strong as a wild ox, from Psalm 92:10. And it will do the same for you. I hope my message today will strengthen you and help you to realize having Jesus Christ in your life, reading the Bible, and raising your children, how important that is. Because no one is exempt from these things that happen in life. I used to think bad things didn't happen to good people. But after we lost our daughter, Dawn, I realized the rain falls on the righteous, the just, and the unjust. But Jesus said, I will never leave you or forsake you. And he certainly hasn't. And through our darkest times, and like I said, Dawn was our first child, but then Jason and Charles were also taken. And in every situation, Jesus was there and is still with us, carrying us and giving us peace in the midst of our storms.
Wow. Mom, that message. I'm very emotional just hearing it again, to relive it in the sense of I remember being at a young age and what we went through as a family. But I can remember that day and you saying right to us, Dawn is with Jesus. And it was like, when you said that, it was like, wow, like the peace of God filled the home. And yes, we were still hurting. Yes, there were still tears, but and God gave Casey to us, who was only about a month and a half old, and he brought so much joy.
Yeah.
He still does. And so God's been with our family, and he's been with your family. And like Mom said, he'll never leave us or forsake us. So we love you. We're praying for you today, for your family. And, stay connected with us. We encourage you, if you don't have a Bible, contact us. We can help you with that. Don't forget to go right online at laborloveusa.org. Thank you to all of those who partner with us and give continually at Labor Love. We're so appreciative of you. We have an amazing team.
Yes, we do.
So keep your head up, because good things are coming. No matter what happens around us, God has our backs.
Yes, he does.
Right, Mom?
Yes.
Love you.
Love you too.
All right. Bye, everybody.